what I wanted to talk about real quick is the parallels between the Christian walk and a Saturday morning hike. Okay. Um, I know in your individual groups you may have talked about certain things you saw and noticed, but I want to just share with some of the things that I saw right quick, and then we're gonna get out of here. All right. So the first thing that I saw that stood out to me was before we started this journey, I noticed how small I was in comparison to the mountain. When we first got it, when we were at the bottom, it seemed kind of daunting that we was gonna walk all the way to the top, and so it was kind of intimidating to face the mountain the first time we got out the car, and I looked up and saw how big it was. The second thing that I noticed was the footprints. If y'all notice, it was footprints along the path, and what that showed us is that people have traveled this path before. So in the back of my mind, I was like, if they can do it, then I can do it. All I got to do is put one foot in front of the other and keep on going forward. And so, the footprint shows proof that other people have conquered this mountain. And so it gave me the energy to conquer the mountain as well. Third was the people. I noticed people of all races, all genders, all ages, all fitness levels. Some people were running up the mountain. Some people were walking. Some people were struggling. Some people was, had their dogs and their pets and families and stuff like that. And so it was encouraging to be in that atmosphere with everybody facing the same thing, the same challenges, the same struggles of going up the mountain. And the fourth thing I noticed was we had decisions to make. You could have continued this walk, or you could have quit and retreated and went back down the mountain at any time. And you saw some people that did that. And so that was something that stood out to me. And then the fifth thing, the animals, the rabbits, the lizards, the birds, the bees, they stood out to me because while they made their home on the mountain, God provided for them. Even though they lived in a place that we wouldn't want to live, God still provided for them in that environment. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then finally, the sixth thing I noticed was when I got to the top of the mountain, it seemed like everybody on the top was in a good mood. That's when you got the good mornings and oh, the baby's so cute, and oh, you guys did it. Oh, I love how you guys are smiling or whatever. Everybody's happy up top. At the bottom, nobody was talking to us. Nobody was smiling because they knew it was ahead of them. And so when we got to the top, it seemed like everybody got nicer. You know what I'm saying? Did y'all notice that? That's the trip, ain't it? People were saying good morning to us and, giving us high fives and complimenting the baby and all of that. And it seems like everybody's in a good mood up top. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. And then lastly, I just want to leave you with this. In Mark chapter 9, it talks about the transfiguration story. Y'all remember that story where Peter, James, and John went up to the mountain with Jesus, and Jesus transformed into his glorified self in front of them. And I could just imagine that was an amazing experience, for them to be in that atmosphere with Jesus, that intimate situation with Jesus, just for that short amount of time on top of the mountain. And then the text says when they went down the mountain, they met some brothers who was arguing, and they were in a dispute over something trivial. And so while we enjoy the mountaintop here, when we go back down, we got to deal with earthly stuff. And so to help us get through the earthly stuff, we just got to remember the experience we had on top of the mountain. And then another thing, there was a lady who stopped us and was like, oh, I like how you guys stuck together and you're using the fan to, cool the baby off, and you took turns holding the baby and stuff. I never even noticed that girl on the path, but there's always somebody looking at you. And I thought that'd preach, so when we live out our journey in life, no, it's eyeballs on you. And so, there's people looking at you. And so you just want to keep that in mind when you live in your day to day. All right. We all good?